requires firmness. Leadership requires commitment. What you see that had happened, defection of some governors who have left, have only shown you they lack the leadership traits. I liken them like the former presidential candidate of Labour Party. The presidential candidate of Labour Party before wanted to be president, and they gave him a platform, and that platform was Labour Party. When crisis came in Labour Party, it is that time it is required for him to show leadership. He ran away because he could not solve problems. The same thing, when our governors were looking for a platform to be governors, they became governors. When crisis came, for them to show leadership, for them to show men of vision.
Who is an oppressor without the oppressed? Nothing. Because sometimes the fight is not about defeating you. It's about needing you to exist. They need you to be in the news. They fight you, they insult you, they dismiss you. According to them, you're nothing. But the moment you leave, they don't know what to do with themselves. So imagine Wike hosting a full political convention, but instead of talking about the party, their ideology, their roadmap, they're talking about someone who is not even in the party. And this tells us everything we need to know, because at this point, it's no longer about politics. It is pure fixation. And this is where it gets deeper. Many politicians today are not struggling for power because obviously they have the power. But what they are struggling with is validation. And this is where Maslow's hierarchy of needs actually comes in. Because at the base, humans look for survival, then safety, then belonging, and then esteem, and finally self-actualization. And here is the irony. Most of the politicians here have already conquered the lower levels. Money, checked. Power, checked. Influence, all checked. But when it comes to esteem and self-actualization, they are completely lost. And that is where the problem begins, because those two things cannot be bought. You can control structures, you can have influence on institutions, you cannot force people to respect you organically. And now you see where the distress is coming in from. And that is where the frustration begins. And let's be honest, many of them want to be Peter Obi so badly. Not necessarily in position, but in perception. They want to feel the level of organic acceptance. They want the kind of public trust. They want to be mentioned without even trying. But they can't. And that inability creates something called obsession, which is disguised as criticism. Now let's talk obsession, using Nyesom Wike as a model. Now, we saw Nyesom Wike at a point taking pictures with Julius Abure, so excited about it. The reason why was because Julius Abure at that time had connection, directly or indirectly, to Peter Obi. And suddenly that connection is gone. And so the interest is also gone. And that tells you something. It was never about Abure, of course we all knew. It was about relevance through association. Nyesom spoke about leadership. But leadership starts with one thing, which is focus. If you know where you're going, you will know where to direct people. But if you don't know where you're going, then you keep reacting to where others are going. It means your direction is constantly defined by other people. You cannot claim to be leading when your energy is quite reactive. And you cannot talk about leadership traits when you lack the very basic one, which is clarity of purpose. And this is the problem, that internal confusion. Because when a man has truly reached self-actualization, he no longer competes for attention. He is not threatened by another man's name. He is well grounded. And that is when you know he has reached that level. Not when every conversation becomes comparison. Every speech you make is about reaction to something. And that is why most politicians are still struggling with. Not because they lack the power, but because they lack the peace within themselves. So they keep mentioning the same name. They keep trying to reduce what they secretly wish they had. Because deep down, it is not even hate. It is unresolved admiration, which is mixed with frustration. And until that gap is resolved, no amount of money, no power, no influence will fix it. Because the highest level of human need is not control. It is contentment with who you are. It is a truth at a time. Take care and have a nice day.